Right. So, can you first introduce yourself and your work?
Yes, my name is Cat Weatherill and I am a storyteller and an author.
All right. In your performance 2 days ago, 3 days ago, you said that storytelling was a bolder kind of art form, and where the storyteller was maybe felt almost naked before the audience was speaking. So, like many years of education, particularly science education, I've seen that many students get a bit stiff, and even though they want to free up and experience new things, they for some reason are not able to. They're not able to gather up the courage to do these things. Have you got any suggestions for that?
It's very difficult asking someone how to be courageous. I think it's a difficult question because it's almost like being a sprinter and people saying to you, how can I run faster? And your response would be, well, just run faster. So, how to be more courageous? I think the thing to recognise is that anyone who is courageous still feels the fear. If you don't feel the fear, there is no courage. We just feel the fear and do it anyway, and push ourselves. Whatever you want to achieve in life, it is going to come at some cost. You are going to have to pay the price. And it ultimately comes down to how badly do you want it. Most people don't know what they want. And if they do feel that they know what they want, the next question is, are they prepared to pay the price? And most people aren't, because it takes a lot of work, it usually takes a lot of courage, and you're going to miss out on other things that people would take for granted. How to be more open? It doesn't actually come naturally to me. I was aware of this last night at the dinner here at the Literature Festival. All these hundreds of people around me, and I didn't know any of them. And I had a choice. I had a choice either of standing there on my own all night, or I could go up and initiate the conversation, which I actually find scary. I'm not naturally gregarious, but in that moment I have the choice of whether or not I want to be on my own or not. And so if you don't want to be on your own, you have to face the fear and go and start the conversation. So it all comes down to that, I think. How badly do you want it? And if you really want it, you will face the fear and do it.
Right. Thank you. Uh, you also mentioned that travel, especially traveling alone, was very good for opening up in this sort of thing. Uh, I have traveled to a few places after graduating. I've been to Russia, yeah,
Wow!
just 2 weeks back.
Wow!
So, and I did want to connect to new people and be open to new
Yeah.
experiences. But I've got this fear of maybe getting cheated sometimes. You know, so you do want to open up to people, but you do know that there are some people who might cheat you.
Yeah.
So, how do you tackle this? Although you do know that the cheaters are also good, and you do want to believe that they are good, uh, you don't want yourself to be cheated for.
Um, you will be cheated. I think it's just part of travelling. I was talking to one of my friends recently who's a very seasoned traveller. He's travelled all around the world. Uh, he was in South America, he was in Chile, and he was ripped off over the price of a bus. And he got really, really annoyed about it because he's been travelling for 30 years and he thought that no one would catch him out anymore. But they did. And he was very angry with himself for falling for it. Ultimately, again, it comes down to whether you let fear rule your life. And it starts to sound a little bit hippy-dippy, the British would call it, to say, oh, trust in a benevolent universe. But I think that when I travel, that is what I am trying to do. I needed it yesterday because I really wanted medicine. yesterday, and I wanted some toiletries, just simple things like shampoo, and I just couldn't get them. And I went to the hospital to see if they would give me the medicine. They wouldn't. I went to the World Trade Park because I'd heard that that was full of shops, but it was full of clothes shops. So I came away without my shampoo and the medicine. And walking back to the hotel, I saw a side road, and I thought, well, I could just wander down there and see if I find a supermarket or a shop or anything. And I walked down there, and of course I am very eye-catching. You know, I'm very white, I have red hair, I was wearing bright red. So I was standing out. Everyone was staring, people saying hello. I carried on walking and walking and walking. And I thought, there's nothing down here, these are houses, it's just houses. And finally ahead of me, I saw like a road junction, and I thought maybe there would be a shop there. And sure enough, there was a supermarket, and next to it there was a pharmacy. And I went into the pharmacy and I showed them the rash that I need the medicine for, and they said, oh yes, I have cream for that. Sold me cream, tablets. I went next door into the supermarket, got the shampoo, everything I needed, and it was like, yeah, you know, the universe, the gods, whatever you choose to call it, provided. You know, I had to turn off the track to get it, and I had to trust that the people weren't going to turn on me or cheat me, but actually they didn't. You know, I got what I wanted. And more I'm finding that with travelling. It's been very different this journey because I've travelled on my own. And the last journey I made was with someone. And what this journey has been characterised by is enormous warmth and generosity. I have been invited into people's homes. In Agra, I had the same tuk-tuk driver for 3 days. And on the third day, he invited me to his home to meet his family, and his wife cooked me lunch, and they only had one room, living in one room, and we sat on the bed to eat. But it was a delicious meal, and he was so thrilled to have me in his home. And the other night here, I was invited into someone's home. Again, I had spent the whole of the day wandering around Old Jaipur trying to find a shawl, but like a heavy shawl, not a flimsy little tourist shawl. Really good shawl. Couldn't find one. And my hostess, Charu, who'd invited me into her home, I was telling her this story. I said, I can't find a shawl anywhere. And she went into her room and she came out with some shawls, and she said, I collect shawls. Choose which one you would like. And she gave me this shawl, you know, this fantastic woolen shawl. And, you know, she wasn't a wealthy woman. She was giving me one of her own personal treasures. You know, that's something she had bought for herself. And to just hand it over was an extraordinary gift of generosity. And I choose to focus on that more than the times I've been cheated. And I know I have been cheated. Sometimes I pay more than I know things are costing. And sometimes it hurts if you think that they were being friendly or actually they were fleecing you like a tourist. But on balance, I think the generosity of what I'm being given far outweighs the cheating that has been done. I really do.
Also, during these travels, sometimes I feel a bit too lonely when I'm traveling alone, especially in the evenings when I'm returning from somewhere to my home. Do you also feel the same way? And how do you deal with it?
I do feel lonely sometimes when I'm travelling. Again, if we come back to paying the price, that is one of the prices of travelling alone, is that there are times when you feel lonely. You know, you would just like to have someone with you to share things with. I miss people, funnily enough, when something really nice happens. You know, if I'm looking at a particularly beautiful sunset or something wondrous happens, and I just want to turn to someone and go, oh, wasn't that fantastic? And you're on your own. and that can feel difficult. I find the days are easy.
Yeah.
It's the evenings that are tricky because you see people settling down to dinner and they're eating together and you are on your own. And you know, I had weeks of it in Goa wandering up and down on the beach on my own. But one of the things that I looked at with loneliness is I haven't felt half as lonely here in India as I have back in the UK. And I think that is because there's so much happening around me. And so I'm starting to question the whole concept of loneliness. Am I lonely or am I simply bored? Is there simply not enough stimulation? Um, because all these emotions, of course, are generated internally. You know, it's not the fact that we are on our own that is making us feel lonely. We are feeling lonely, and that comes out. It's the other way. So again, we have a choice, I think, whether or not to feel lonely. And I was thinking just last night of the trip I did last year with the friend. I wasn't lonely, obviously, because I had my friend. But I thought, were there any gifts I was given? No. Were there any occasions I was invited into someone's home? No. Did I have any long conversations with local people, the ordinary people, the shopkeepers, the tuk-tuk drivers? No. This was a 2-month adventure. You think, how can that happen? The difference is that I am travelling on my own. And it's a different kind of journey. And there are blessings in being on your own. So again, we come back to the price. The price you pay is some nights, yes, you are going to feel lonely. But what you get in return, I think, far outweighs it. And you can even find people to talk to. I did in Goa one night on the beach. I thought, I don't want to eat on my own. And so I walked along the beach and saw a chap sitting at a table on his own. And I just said to him, you know, hello, do you speak English? He said, yes. I said, do you fancy a little bit of company? He said, yeah, sure, sit down. He was from Germany. We had dinner together, had an hour, you know, shook hands, and I went back along the beach. But it was nice. I made it happen. Again, it's that thing of just being bold enough to take the leap and say, would you like to talk? Yeah. If he hadn't or he hadn't have spoken English, that's fine. You just walk on and find someone else.
Okay. Right now, this is the most important question.
Oh, right, okay.
So as I told you, I haven't started working yet at this graduator, but I am quite inspired by Tolstoy's philosophies, and so I wanted a career where the main purpose wouldn't be to earn a profit, and ideally I would want a career where I would earn no profit. I would just be able to survive a simple life, and where the main purpose would be to serve others after knowing what they actually need. I'm not tricking them into needing my services and then paying me. I don't want to adopt any artificial means to do my work. So, how do you suggest I try to find out what I should do, especially in the arts side? Like your storytelling is good now. I also know a toy maker who shifted from engineering to teaching science to rural students through making toys, simple toys. I think that was good. What similar things could you think of for the arts? Or any other things?
There's several questions at work here. When I first heard that question, I was interested in your relationship to money and why you seem to see money as bad. I think that's interesting. Why you would seem to see profit as not something to make, equating the artist with poverty is a common misconception. And the idea of thinking that the marketing and advertising is trickery
Yeah.
is a curious question as well, because I don't see it that way at all. If you are offering services, you're going to have to, at some stage, make people aware of what you have.
But shouldn't it be more?
Even if it's just putting a sign in a shop window, this is going to be marketing. I have never been motivated by money, I would say that. I certainly would not do a high-paid job that I disliked simply for the money. But equally, I recognise that I need a certain amount of money to be able to travel, which is what I really like to do. Money buys me a degree of security that personally I kind of need. There is something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you ever seen this? It's like a pyramid, and it shows the needs that people have in life. And your baseline needs are things like water and food and warmth, and then as you come up this hierarchy, creativity is at the top. And quite simply, if you are having to spend all your time trying to make ends meet, if you're worrying about paying bills, you will not have the space in your head to be truly creative. And so I find that I need a baseline security to be able to function. To make things happen in my life, I do need a home hub, I need a computer, and I need Wi-Fi to make the connections that will get me out into the world. There is the poem, isn't there? There's many a desert flower blooms unseen. That you can do extraordinary work, and is it important that people notice? Possibly not. Maybe the blooming is the important thing, but if you want to go out into the world and share it and bring joy to the world and bring your services to the world, there is a point at which you are going to need the mechanics to facilitate that. And this is where money comes into the equation. Also, artists should be valued. And it's a debate that's very much going on in the UK at the moment. Musicians especially are asked to perform for free. Storytellers are often asked, will you come to our school and tell stories? And we say, yes, my fee is, and they go, oh, but we thought you could just come along and tell some stories and sell some books. The money you would make from selling a couple of books is a fraction of what you would be charging for your fee. And so there's part of you feels really bad that you are charging for your art, you are charging for something that you love to do. But equally, I have a house, I have bills to pay, I need petrol to go in the car. I need to buy the books. Sometimes people don't realise this. They expect you to give free books. An author has to buy copies of their own books, discounted, and sell them on. All these things require money. And so as an artist, you like to feel valued as well. And there's a certain value that comes from working with people and getting their feedback, which is priceless. It is priceless. But there is this curious idea that artists will do it for the love. You couldn't phone up an electrician and say, my lights have gone out. Will you come and do it on Saturday night for nothing? They would think you're mad, and you say, yes, but you're an electrician, you love fixing electrical things. They go, yeah, I know, but this is my fee, I charge by the hour. And so, for artists, money does come into the equation, and if you are earning money, it doesn't make you less of an artist. And I certainly wouldn't judge someone's artistic ability by whether they are playing to half a dozen people in a pub or playing to 2,000 people as a literature festival, because people work in different ways and some people don't want to scale the heights. But yeah, money and our relationship with money is often something that's come from childhood, and how our parents made us think about money. And it is something to look at. Yeah.
But I have this idea like if you are an artist and you produced a work that you think will benefit many others, wouldn't you want to give it, when you want to make it freely available so that many people can enjoy it and not charge for it, or charge very minimally for it? Like most of the contemporary art, it is quite expensive. Not everyone
Yeah.
can afford it. So it seems like cheating. It doesn't seem real, the the work they're doing, and you have doubts about what they're doing and whether they're just producing work and just, you don't get why they're getting so much money.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, when you see contemporary artists and they are selling pieces of work for thousands and thousands of pounds, again they have studied usually for many years. They do undoubtedly have talent. There is this thing, and I have found this traveling in India, is people pay the price they want to pay. Uh, and if someone is happy paying £100,000 for a Banksy, if it makes them happy to spend that money, then why shouldn't Banksy accept it? And that, I'm sure, is what the artists would say. You can do both. Uh, there is work that I will do for free. Um, I have done outreach work here at this festival. I was in schools yesterday. I didn't get paid for going into the schools. I didn't charge a fee. I wanted the children to have the experience of a storyteller. I went in and I did an hour and I gave them as much energy and as much love as I would give a school in England that was paying. That is how I pay back. Money is a strange one. It is strange, and it is hard for an artist to get your head around it. You can, of course, live a very, very simple life, traveling around, making toys, giving them away, and you will get a lot of love in return, but still there comes a point at which you have to buy the materials to make toys, that you would have to buy the tools that you are using to make the toys. So there is a bottom line need for money somewhere along the line. I, as I say, would never want to be motivated by money, but equally, I think I would find it very, very disheartening to carry on working and working and working and feeling that no one valued me or valued my art enough to actually pay for it. I think if I'm good and I'm talented, people should recognise that, and they should pay me in the same way that they would pay a plumber or an electrician.
Alright. Right, so if you're not tired, you want to say a short
Another
story or
one?
something?
No, another
No,
one?
my questions are finished now.
Oh, you finished? Okay. Has it helped? Has it made any sense?
It has helped. I'll have to think about it a little more,
Yeah.
yes. But it has helped.
I think, well, it's an interesting one because I met a woman in Goa who was one of Canada's great educators, and I sat with her for an hour. And I was saying to her that I still feel restless and I still feel like I want to go out into the world and do more and more. And she said to me, get rid of your house, get rid of your possessions and just go out into the world. And she said, you can get by as a storyteller. You will never go hungry. And that is true. I could travel and have a very, very simple life. telling stories, people, as I've seen in India, will give me clothes, they will give me food, they will give me love. It's back to that throwing yourself onto the benevolence of the universe. And I am always inspired by people who do just walk away. I was reading a story the other night of someone at 26 who I think was a scientist. It was in the literary review. It's on some of the tables. And at 26, he decided to walk away from it all, and he went and lived in the Himalayas. And he's been living with Buddhist monks ever since. And he said that was his post-grad. You know, he's done like another 30 years post-grad in Nepal because he just didn't want it. And I think that's a wonderful way of living. It's maybe the next step for me. I have started to get rid of my possessions. Before I did this trip, I started selling off my clothes on eBay. I thought, why have I got a wardrobe full of coats when I keep coming away for the winter? I'm not wearing these coats. So I've been selling the coats and putting the money directly into a travel fund to get me over here. And I think the older I'm getting, the more I'm seeing that we don't need possessions, and they actually just tie us down. And it is wonderful to have an art form like storytelling, which I can carry with me and just do it spontaneously. So I'm very, very lucky in that as well.